My name is Amit. I head communications and marketing and equity inclusion at Guardian Life. Half of you wouldn't, or maybe 70% of you don't know Guardian. It's a life insurance company in the US, and we have a big center in India, the GCC network here, for about 2,000 people. I am glad that I'm doing this session and asking some tough questions to my fellow panelists, some of them who I've never met, and some of them who I know from, I don't know, maybe years now. So I think the intent of our panel today is really talking about how purpose of your organization or purpose around corporate social responsibility is driving the narrative in our communications and what we want to be known as a brand, want to be known as a socially responsible brand. ESG is a concept that's still kicking in. We are figuring it out. A lot of conversation around sustainability is happening. A lot of conversation about being a responsible corporate citizen is happening. So I think those are things that we want to sort out today. It's great to have a panel that's coming from various industries, consumer durables or consumer products and manufacturing, digital first, insurance, and a lot of that. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. I'll start with Anjali, with you. So tell me, in your industry and specifically in tech and manufacturing, how do you approach integrating social impact initiatives in your day-to-day marketing and communications work? Because you really want to kind of create a meaningful connection with people.
Sure. Thank you so much, and good evening, everybody. So, Amit, I think impact communications, something that we are talking today, is an extension of your business communication strategy. So, while we are heading off, so I work with an organization which falls under the CSR bill. I mean, we have to do that 2%, things, and we've got NGO partners doing that. Having said that, one bit is to implement these projects on ground, but at the back of our mind and so we work very closely with the team, the foundation team, while they are setting up their primary objectives with their partners as well. We try and align the business objectives with it. For example, it's a mobility company, it's an auto ancillary manufacturing company, right? So we have integrated the theme mobility for all for our CSR initiatives as well. So when we communicate, we ensure that everything that we are talking about from business and from CSR standpoint is an extension of what we are looking at in business also. Secondly, I think as a company, CSR initiatives plus CSR storytelling gives us a reasonably good latitude to have a softer persona to the brand. So it's otherwise the business of business is business, as we all know. Having said that, this gives us an opportunity to broaden our horizon, expand that canvas which talks only about business objectives plus business storytelling, and gives each one of, which includes the employees as well, an opportunity to talk about what they do beyond just getting those numbers for the company. So that is what my take is.
Nice, and I think those softer aspects and story points in the narrative really help build brand externally and internally. So thanks for your answer. Jyotsna, I'll come to you. With a legacy brand, rooted in diverse consumer offerings, how do you ensure purpose-driven initiatives are in forefront of your narrative?
So I'll just have a quick question for everybody here. How many of you as corporate communication professionals also look after CSR? So when you say you look after CSR, do you implement it? Okay. So as an organization and diverse organization, been in the business for 95 years, we've been doing CSR for over 50 years now. It started about 50 years ago when we wanted to give back in the place from where our founders started, which is a natural way to give back, I guess, and that's how they began. But over a period of time, what we have done is we've gone way beyond giving back to actually trying to make an impact. So we've identified certain villages which, according to the Prime Minister's designation that is there. Some of these very, very backward places in and across India, which would include Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, 3 other states, etc., where where you don't even have proper roads to reach the villages. Yeah, access to the village is very, very limited. So even when you are taking people to go and visit or see the impact, they're not going to stay in a 5-star hotel. So it's the nearest place that you will get, and it will be close to being a dak bungalow or a guest house kind of a thing. And what's very unique about us is that even when we take journalists, which we started, by the way, only 1 year back. A year back is when we started. We never looked for PR around the CSR activities that we did. And what we tried to do was we took the journalists to the places and introduced them to the village we have adopted and let them freely mingle and pick them back at around 4 o'clock if accessibility was an issue. Places where accessibility was not an issue, we sit at the panchayat's office, and they are free to go around, speak to people they want to, take videos, speak to whoever they want to. And what's worked for us is that unlike most, obviously we have NGOs and we have partners for implementation, but we look at local NGOs who understand the local issues. Then, having understood what the issues are, we've tried to see if they map with the corporate values, vision that we have. Then find people who are experts in it. So we have academicians, then we have implementation partners. At the same time, we have NGOs also working with us. And the most important thing is, we get the local panchayat, the local level people, the local influencers, all to be a part of that program. And they are the ones who keep monitoring and getting feedback and then implementing or expanding the same program. I think that's worked very well for us.
Thank you. And I think finding those ambassadors outside the organization are very, very critical. So yeah, Abhishek, go for the mic. Next question's for you. So of course, I identify with the financial, industry, services industry, and the space that you are in. So how are you communicating? Because specifically in your area, I think building trust is very critical, especially when it comes to money as an aspect. So how are you kind of integrating that in your communications?
So some of you may know Paisabazaar, and for those who don't know Paisabazaar, it's a credit platform. You go to the platform, you're looking for a loan, and you typically take a loan primarily for 2 purposes. One's when you have an emergency, or you are trying to fulfill your life goal. So, and these 2 are financial aspects, and most of the time, financial literacy is very less in India. And that's where our core philosophy, which is like Paise se Bharke, that's our brand philosophy, and all our purpose-driven PR is revolving around that brand philosophy. That every time we have to find meaningful ways to connect with the customer, and how I can empower him or her with meaningful content that helps him to take a decision, a good decision. Because most of the time we take a wrong decision when it comes to financial aspect. And how I can empower him through that entire cycle, so that during his time of crisis or an emergency, or when he's trying to fulfill his life goals, he takes the right decision. So we are a very content heavy PR function, and all content that we do is building around awareness about different loan aspects. It could be secured loans, which are the home loans and different business loans that you take against a collateral, or it could be a personal loan that you typically take a personal loan when you are in a pickle. So that's the reason that all our purpose-driven PR is revolving around our brand philosophy, Paise se Bharke, where as a brand, we want to stay with the consumer or the customer at the time when he needs us the most. So our relationship with the customer is not just transactional, but much beyond that. That's how we try to drive our purpose-driven PR.
Lovely. And I'll have a follow-up question on that. So, how do you then integrate the social cause aspect of it?
Social cause aspect is that there could be different moments in our life during a wedding or maybe education. So there are different aspects of loans where you come as a partner and fulfill those aspects in the life. Yeah, that's the time when we interact with the customer. And again, if we have done something good with the customer, we try to create that connect. And also another important thing that we have is we have a flagship program, which is the credit score program. And a lot of people, they don't know about credit score, because if you are taking a loan, that's the first thing the bank checks. A lot of people, they don't have a credit score, they cannot access financial products. And that hampers your journey in this credit cycle. You may not get a loan at a rate which you're supposed to get. You might get a higher loan. So through that also, we help the consumer to improve your credit score. There are a lot of new to credit consumer who don't have a credit. So we tell them throughout that this relationship, that's how we build a relationship from a consumer right at the time that when he's new to consumer to the matured stage. So we try to be with the customer at the different stages of life. So when he's entering, we give him a product that helps him to build a credit score or improve his credit score. Then we go to a time when he would need money for a different purpose, and at a certain stage for building a house or a dream. So we try to stay with the customer with different products during different time of his life cycle.
Perfect. Thank you. Prachi, coming to you. So, one, I'd like you to talk about 30 seconds about your brand, because it's something that people should know. But, you know, creating that purpose-driven campaign from an environmental and social impact, because it's a consumer product at the end of the day. How are you doing that, and how that integration is critical for success of your business?
Thanks, Amit. I think most of the audience here would know signifies Philips Lighting. We are a 130-year-old legacy brand. I'm sure we cut across generations. Your parents, your grandparents would probably know the brand for sure. Talking about how we are as a brand, sustainability and customer centricity lies at the ethos of what we do as a brand. We have our vision is brighter lives, better world. So we do have an inside out approach for that. We basically focus on creating genuine communication. We have a CSR program that runs across 1,500 villages in India that's called Har Gaon Roshan. We've lit villages across the remotest areas in India, across rural, urban borders, etc. We work across with different, governments, with local NGOs, to basically bring out the genuine and honest communication. So that is something that really has worked well for us. The less is more approach has actually been, very important for us as a brand. Yeah.
Thank you. And Runa, coming to you on aspect of sustainability, specifically in the automotive industry, I think consumers today are quite responsible. They're understanding the whole aspect of EVs and why it's important, why we should be responsible. But from a brand standpoint, how are you picking that forward in your communication narrative?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, as you can see, I'm coughing. When Anjali entered the room, she was also coughing. And I think all of us understand that all of us are dying. This has been happening to us since 5 years. Don't be shocked. I'm not talking about anything new. This is something that we start feeling what used to be the beautiful season in Delhi 5 years back, the weather that we used to keep waiting for, has become threatening now. So exactly what are we doing about it? I'm really thankful to you guys for bringing in this topic, because not many people are actually talking about purpose-driven PR. I think it's high time. I think we realize the importance of the impact that we are making on the environment. I had a list of points that I really wanted to touch upon, but frankly speaking, I've changed my entire speech, because I think this is the new purpose of my life. I think I am going to protest. I'm going to fight for that old Delhi, and I don't know how many people will support me, but that's something that we can do. Now, coming coming to the point, which is, you know, I think most of you must have read today's Times of India. There's a beautiful story written by Pankaj Dole, Times of India national editor. You know, and I see a lot of heads shaking, so I'm really glad that you read that. Now, the headline of today's newspaper was JSW MG, which is my company, Windsor, that's the recent EV product that we have launched, PIPS, Tata Mahindra EVs. It's a beautiful article how a small, negligible organization is trying to make an impact in the EV industry. This did not happen today, you know. This is a journey that we took years back. So generally, when you talk about an automobile industry, when you have to launch a product, you know, the life cycle is, if the product is 100% made in India, then the process starts 5 years back. You know, if this is a product which is already developed in other countries and you're making some changes, etc., the life cycle is 2 years back. I'm so glad to share with you that in 2020, MG launched its first EV, which you can imagine the kind of work that must have gone behind, you know, years back launching that product. Now we have 3 EVs. 50% of our product portfolio is EV. I drive an EV every day and I keep looking at other people and I keep watching them. I said, why do you have to drive a mammoth, a gas guzzling car, when you can simply drive a small EV and reduce your impact? So coming back to communication, when we launched our first EV, I think that was country's first connected EV car, the ZS EV. The communication campaign was change what you can. It wasn't about selling the product. It was just asking people to think about the impact that they are making in the environment and to change the small little things that we can. For example, reusable plastic. For example, paperless organizations. Whatever you can, you know, please go out and change it. Thankfully, with the innovations that MG has brought about, today there was another story. I'm not showing off, but I'm just trying to, you know, give you certain example. This was in Business Standard, and it said, yes, BAS, BAAS. What is BAS? BAS is Battery as a Service. Now, the clock is ticking, and I can go on and on and on. Okay, so you can read about BAS, but with BAS, we've been able to bring down the cost of EVs drastically. The first time cost of EVs drastically. So all of you who are thinking about buying an ICE car can actually now start thinking about EVs, so you can actually change what you can. So think about it. With that.
Thank you. Well, change begins with us, and I think we would have a good pitch for MG today on this dais. So we're glad we have somebody who's rooting, and I think I do agree with you. We want the old version of the NCR region coming back, and we all deserve that. We've invested money in buying these flats here in Gurgaon. We better deserve a good weather. But I think given that we only have a couple of minutes in our hand, and I had many questions, but what do you think? I go with a question for all of you and you answer in an express way. Is that something works for everybody? Okay, so Anjali, we'll start with you for the first response on this one. How are you kind of really looking at measurement when it comes to purpose-driven PR? So express answers by everybody.
Sure. Purpose-driven PR, I think I'm like a ardent lover of social media dashboard. Socials definitely give us a lot of latitude in terms of messaging. Plus, so that's one. Whatever your campaign is has to be driven on socials. Goes without saying. Second, I think we need to take everybody together when it comes to communications. which includes a good combination of external and internal stakeholders. So while we say, I mean, take Edelweiss Tokyo Mutual Funds example, for example, you know, the founder, the woman who's leading the inclusion initiative, extremely impressive. Plus the initiatives that, I mean, they're a wealth management company at the end of the day. But the way they position, the way they, and you know, I would like to go back to Chutapa's point, who was a panelist at the panel before. So she said, like, she talked about authenticity and credibility. So your impact, what you're making on ground, something which Jyotsna ma'am also mentioned, I think it's very important to be credible, because if you are impactful on ground, you're very confident, only then your campaign will be very impressive. Plus, it'll effectively get the metric which you are set out to achieve as well. Yes.
Runa.
Thank you, Anjali. I'll deviate. I don't believe in numbers. You know, for me, corporate communication is not just about conversation, but it's about making an impact, you know, an impact within the organization and even beyond. So for example, I think all of us remember 24th March 2020. Yeah? It's a sensitive topic that I'm touching, but I think all of us remember that day, no matter how much we want to forget about it. The day the national lockdown was announced in the country, as a very small corporate communication department, you know, in my organization and along with my agency, I approached my managing director and I said that this is the time that we want to give back, you know. And my organization, MG as a brand, is a 100-year-old brand, but it's headquartered in SAIC. SAIC is China, you know. There were options wherein I would have asked my managing director to hold posters and say, made in India, so much employment generation created, etc., etc., etc. But you have to understand the people's sentiment, right? So that was the time, the very next day, MG announced how are they going to help people, you know, with an amount of money, but I don't want to talk about numbers, but I want to share with you that we don't call, you know, CSR as CSR in our company, we call it Seva. We don't have a department, you know, and we don't have to submit audit reports. So we do it because we believe in it. It's our passion to give back. No, with my Seva volunteers, during the second wave of COVID, when there was shortage of oxygen, when people did not want to get out of their house, you know, we worked on a project, we got out of our house and we worked on a project on increasing oxygen production in the country. These are things that one should be talking about. Why should corporate communication be only limited to share of voice, etc., etc.? I'm sure we are good communicators. I'm sure we can do much beyond that. I am sure that you can convince your leaders to do much more. So I'll leave you with that question.
I think your agency is really happy because numbers are not something that you're going ahead. So Kohili is, you know, nodding over there. Prachi, what about you?
I personally believe that, you know, I'm a fan of quantity and quality. Who doesn't love a great SOV? I mean, I absolutely agree when Runa says that, you know, what really cuts across with the larger audience is the quality of what we actually bring to the table. For us as a brand, quality is very important, and that's why in the previous question, like I was mentioning, less is more for us. Important communication essentially cuts across for us, and I think that's something that has worked out pretty well for us in the long run. Yeah. Those are the two metrics for sure.
Thank you. Abhishek.
I agree with Runa, but I think there are two ways to look at it. One is that as a digital first brands, they want to do it through a customer satisfaction CSAT format. And in one of my past experience, I have worked with a telecom brand, ASL, which was a challenger brand, and they picked up Tiger as a national cause. Save the Tiger campaign became a very important. And how we used to measure the success of that campaign, we used to go and measure how we are reducing human-animal conflict in different national parks that we picked up. We had Sundarbans, which has one of the highest human-animal conflict. We had Ranthambore and Bandhavgarh. and also down south in some of the national parks. So in fact, to measure the success of these campaigns, you have to go to the last mile and see how people for whom you have designed that program and are benefiting. There is no one-size-fits-all kind of metric that you will have, but again, see how you're delivering the last mile benefit to your customers and stakeholders.
Thank you. And Josna, over to you.
While, as I mentioned to you, as a communication person in the organization at DS Group, we don't have any targets for CSR at all, and we don't do much PR around CSR. So there's no share of voice, etc. But the way we measure the impact is on ground. What's the impact that we've had? Primarily through feedback and also the lives impacted. So for example, I would say if there are 3 initiatives we have or we work under: water, livelihood and education. In water, when we look at water conservation, if we adopted one village, over a period of time, we would have people in and around the village who would get impacted because the water table would rise automatically, and hence there would be requests from neighboring villages to come and be a part of it. And likewise, in all the places we've adopted, we've started with one, and in most places we have 5 to 7 villages we handle. In education, while most people talk a lot about, normal education that is there, we work in a very, very niche space, which is a program called Samya, which is a gender sensitization program where we work with boys in the age group of 7 to 18, where we are sensitizing them about the other gender, how they should react, how they should behave, what they should know. And this is again a program we've been working with for the last 6-7 years. But today, if you interact with the boys, you will know how much they respect their mothers, the sisters, the other women in and around the villages they work with. I think to me, that is more impactful, and that's the way to measure success when it comes to impact.
Thank you. And I think I'll echo your sentiment, because it's all about the value we are trying to derive out of these programs. And numbers don't really matter for me at Guardian as well, because everything at Guardian we want to do is around the value we create through our programs, and numbers are just part of it. And some recognition also is important. And I'll probably harp a little. In Bombay, a team member of mine for CSR is receiving an award. We won something tonight, and I think that just speaks kind of work we want to do. The recognition is important, the numbers are not. The numbers are important when it comes to, what did you achieve from an impact standpoint, like you said, how you kind of impacting those boys from that generation. Similarly, I think from a Guardian standpoint, our mission or purpose of the organization is to inspire well-being for everybody. And how we look at it from a corporate social responsibility, or as we call it, corporate impact, is that we look at NGO partners that are in the zone where we want to inspire well-being. So we are supporting a heart hospital for children out of Palwal that does heart surgeries for any child between 2 weeks to 6 years or 10 years that has a heart disease. We support an eye care hospital in Kanchipuram. So those are the areas that as an organization at Guardian we support, because it really matches with the vision and the purpose of the organization. Plus, we want to make sure that that value is derived. And with that, I think this was a very valuable session. So big round of applause for our speakers here and for the Agency Reporter team to organize a topic like that. So thank you, Agency Reporter.